see it yet. Okay.
You want me to grab my phone and do this?
Where's your phone at?
It's on the couch. I don't mind. I just didn't know that I was supposed to be doing this.
Oh, are we already live?
After this, yes.
Oh, yeah, because I'm seeing it says we're on the couch.
We can always cut this part out.
Okay. So should I share the video that's live right now? Okay. I'll add a caption later.
If a phone rings, is this a problem? Turn my ringer down. Okay, yeah. I was like, the reason why I turned it off is
Okay.
oh, so it's live, so they can see the behind the scenes stuff. That's awesome. And then you guys kind of re-edit it and put it out there as well.
It's live right now, so.
Yeah, we're live. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we shall get started.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, take your time.
Wait.
It's fine. This is all. Every show, I make this comment, and I'm like, I'm not a professional yet. We're still learning. We have a learning curve, and we will get there.
I just want to turn my ringer down. That's it, because I would hate.
We'll just turn the whole phone off if you can't figure it out.
Okay, I was like,
That's what I've done before in the past. I'm like,
all right, well, let me just turn it off then. I just wanted to share the video on my feed.
Oh, okay.
So y'all can get, so the views.
Well, we're
increase.
live, so we better get started because I'm sure somebody, I don't know, I can't tell. Okay, so today we have in the studio Veronica Lino,
Yes.
which I'm going to ask you about in a minute. Thank you so much for saying yes and agreeing to come. I'm very excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure.
So, at the beginning of every show, what I typically do is ask the guest about their name. Because, you know, in our culture, a lot of us have very colorful names that are maybe different. And if we have names that are a little bit more traditional, there's still usually a reason for our parents selecting that name. So I wanted to ask you about your first name and if you were like named after someone or how your parents came to name you Veronica. And then also your last name Lino is not very common.
Right.
I initially thought it was Lino until I heard you say it the other day. So give us some insight into that.
Yeah. So my full name, I love my full name. It's Veronica Lachelle Lino. My middle name. But so my mom actually named me Veronica. And I can't remember if she had a friend named Veronica. I think that may be the story, but it also means compassion. And so that's what my mom told me my name meant.
Right.
So that's the meaning of my first name, Veronica. And then Lachelle, my dad's middle name was Michelle.
Oh.
So my middle name is Lachelle.
So where's your father's family from originally?
So that's what we were trying to figure out. But one thing we do believe is his sister said that we believe that his father was Guamanian, from Guam.
From Guam,
his mom, my grandma, was Native American and African American.
I see. Okay.
So yes, and then my mom on my mom's side was heavily Native American and African American as well. So we have lots of Native Indian in our bloodline as well.
Okay. And then the Lino. So I, for the longest time, because we're friends on Facebook, I thought it was Lino, like Jay Leno.
Yeah.
And then you posted a video of yourself, like you were pumping gas and just kind of like talking to the camera.
Yeah.
So do you have like family roots in Texas, or is where's the Lino side from?
Yeah, the Lino side's from Houston.
Oh,
H-Town.
okay. H-Town.
Stay down,
man. Got it. Okay.
That side's from Houston.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool. I have a lot of family in Houston. So one of the reasons that I really, really wanted to have you on the show is because every interaction I've ever had with you in life has always been, I'm saying life like I've known you forever, but during the time I've known you, you've always been overwhelmingly positive. You are very motivated, and you're very open about your journey. So for those of us watching, why don't you give us a little background about what you do in I'll say a professional sense, because we all have lots of different parts to ourselves.
Right.
But what is your occupation?
That is an amazing, an amazing question. I'm currently an entrepreneur. I've been on my entrepreneurial journey for like 13 years, trying to figure it out. And so I believe right now I'm just developing into taking on the identity and what it is to be becoming a chief executive officer in your own organization. So that's where I'm transitioning now. I have a degree in exercise science, so I was basically trying to run a business, but being a trainer and not knowing how to work in my business and be a business owner, which are two totally
completely different and we usually don't figure that out until we've almost killed ourselves by like working our fingers to the bone.
Right, but I've done that. And so so I define myself as far as occupation right now as an entrepreneur, an entrepreneuring woman who's just now transitioning into understanding how to be an executive officer and how to run an organization. Like someone sent me a direct message on yesterday and they were like, hey, you still having your, are you going to have a boot camp? Are you going to be teaching one? And I'm like, well, I'm actually looking to certify trainers, have trainers certified as Bruce Box trainers, because now I see my role differently as shifting. And now, because I've struggled financially for so long and I know what that looks like to build a business and I want to be financially successful and well, that I have a huge passion to make sure that nobody's broke. Like, and my passion has now shifted to someone who has a desire for wellness and helping people, and they understand the mission and vision of Bruce Box to get them certified and get them clientele and make sure that they're being paid doing what they love. Like, that is now my extreme passion.
Yeah.
Because
I can see it. Your face is like lighting up as you're talking about it.
Yeah,
I feel it. Like you're exuding this.
I'm like beast mode of that.
Yeah.
So now I'll do things like sacrifice, my time to make sure that I'm being personally successful financially and doing those things to make sure the business vision and mission that I see is fulfilled. I also am into bodybuilding as well. So that's my personal hobby.
Yes, I've seen you share. So let's kind of walk backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you even get into, so I know you have your degree in, it's exercise science.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
So is that something like when you were a little girl, were you always an athlete, like in high school and middle school and that sort of thing? Or was it when you, yes, okay.
No, I'm saying, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just like, yeah.
I'm like, take the floor and go with it.
I'm just going with you, girl, queen. I'm like, yeah, no, keep going.
But I always wonder where people's inspiration comes from, especially as entrepreneurs, because I find a lot of people who are entrepreneurial have always had that inclination. They may not have had the language to say, this is what I want to be, but like people who dance were always dancing around as kids. So was that your childhood? Were you like the kid that was like always physical? Okay. So what did that look like?
It's so crazy. So it's a split, actually. When I was younger, it was me. I'm a triplet. So it was me and my triplet brothers. It was John, Jonathan, and then my big brother as well. But he was normally off in practice, and we were wanting every summer to go to the pool and swim. But the story is that I was always getting my brothers together, and we would always play like business. Like we would always play business. So we would collect our pennies. We would collect our pennies because it costs $1 to go to the pool.
Right.
So we would collect our pennies, and I was also always thinking of ideas of how to like make money or build business. It was silly. So I would get my brothers together, and we would do that, and it was just something that I did naturally, like not understanding like what I was doing. It was just, I don't know, it's kind of like a thing.
Yeah.
And then also when I went to college, I'll fast forward to college. Before college, my big brother told me how to cut hair. I went to college my freshman year. I probably should have degreed in entrepreneurial studies that year, because when I was not at track practice, I was cutting hair. I should have been studying, but I literally was building a business. So I would, because I was a female, I charged $3 for haircuts instead of $5, because I knew. And my clientele was like the whole football team, because I went to Baylor my freshman year. And so what I did was I cut a couple people's heads well, and they're basically like the stars on the football team.
Gotcha. So that's the only advertisement you need. Yeah. Like if the head, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's just like a thing that I didn't know that I had,
Right.
And now I think just now I have confidence, because you can have this ability to want to create. I'm also creative, but to be an entrepreneur takes a personal confidence.
Absolutely.
During COVID, I got to sit and have a conversation with myself and say, you are not a punk, Veronica. Like, you are not someone who's going to continue to talk about like how your life was XYZ. Like, there's just no more succumbing to whatever type of adversity you've been through. All you have to do is make a decision to be responsible for yourself and your life. And so if anything happens now, it's crazy. I've kind of taken that responsibility on to say, well, what could you have done about it? Because you have to find somewhere to where it's like, I need to improve, because if this is happening, then there's something that I need to take, like, I need to do a self-evaluation. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's just like,
no, it's an opportunity for growth.
Yeah. And so now, I guess this is now what makes me so confident in like wanting to be an entrepreneur. And it's crazy. Like, just right now, what the economy says is I wrote this business plan probably like 10 years ago, maybe 7. And then I kind of refurbished it and extended it.
Okay.
But when I had done the initial research, it was saying how right now, the economy would be full of self-employed people, or more people who do things like Lyft and other. But these jobs were not a thing back then. But when
technology propelled them to the forefront. Yeah, absolutely.
So now, in wanting to build an entrepreneur and basically provide a lift for those in wellness to make their own, income, that's what drives me, and that's why I'm like really passionate right now. Right. Because my mission and vision for Bruce Box is that we're a beacon of hope and healing in our community through wellness. And so, it not only, when this does what it does, will it be hope and healing for those people who want to lose weight and work out, because we know that depression, anxiety is attached to that. We know that families become bought together. We know that people have such a crazy renewed esteem.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
anyone was suicidal and they start working out, generally that desire hopefully should cease. Like, working out is like builds self-confidence, so many things. So you not only can distribute hope to the person who's going to the class, working with you online, but you also distribute hope to the trainer or the coach, because they are making money and they are well and happy.
Well, and
in their passion.
Money is a motivator.
It is.
And I think a lot of times in an entrepreneurial journey, people have an idea like, well, I just have to do this because I love it, and I don't have to worry about the money. But when you're not able to sustain yourself, it takes away from that creative energy, number one. It creates anxiety and stress. And so you're not able to operate like at this optimal level. Now, you've said Bruce Box a couple of times, and I'm sure that people who are tuning in are like, what is Bruce Box? So explain to us what Bruce Box is, and then how you came up with the name.
Okay. Well, Bruce Box is an online platform that delivers boxing-centric workouts on demand. And our goal is to be a beacon of hope and healing within our community. Bruce Box was named after my father. And so he was a boxer. He passed from heart failure. But before he passed, we had an amazing time to renew our relationship and restore it. And so, what? It also means just to fight. Like, what does it mean to fight? And this is also all the things I wish my father would have had, to be honest with you. Like, so when you're growing up in the hood or you're in disadvantaged situations, all the things that I wish I would have had. So I think about this little girl who's like just sitting in life and she needs a hand up. I would like Bruce Box to provide that, through health and wellness, through a literal workout. And it started off online, but it also goes into like in-person services, and providing group classes. Now, I'm going to be relaunching on September 1st, actually. But that's the reason why it's set up the way it's set up, because in my personal life, I found working out to be what has actually, outside of God, helped me to heal. And it is a scientific fact that working out, it can, help to release endorphins or happy feelings.
Absolutely.
And it does have a lot of...
You get a natural high.
Positive effects. So anywho, but so the Bruce Box is a beacon of hope and healing in our communities. That's what it is, through wellness programming, and it was named after my father.
So how do people find it? And how do they engage? Is it something where you have like a membership every month? It's a subscription service, essentially. Okay.
This is a great question. You go to www.mybrucebox.com. And yes, there is a subscription. It starts with a base, just online subscription. And then it moves from online to being able to hire an exclusive trainer virtually or in person. And so right now it'll launch again in September, the full version.
Okay.
And it's being beta tested here in San Antonio, Texas.
Amazing.
And you know what's crazy is like during COVID.
Yeah, so let's talk about
when
COVID.
it popped off though. Like during COVID is when it popped off though.
Yeah.
Because everyone had to go inside, and then I'm living with my mom at the moment, and in my mom's garage, I was like, hey mom bear, can I
Move this stuff over.
can I do some stuff here? And she's like, yeah. So I got cardboard, like, and you can't even tell, but I got literally cardboard, and I made a huge backdrop, and I sprayed it the shining black spray. Like the videos are like super dope. People were like watching the videos, like, this is awesome. Of course, it's not going to be the best quality. I'm like, guys, I'm literally.
But you were making do with what you had
I was
available.
like, I'm like, guys, this is like, and the thing about it is I wasn't ashamed, and like the reason why I showed it like that, like raw, because I'm like, any person who's successful entrepreneur, look at their stories. They don't start from, a lot of them, like a lot do, well some do, a lot do, but then there's some that don't. Like they start in their garage.
So many companies
Gates
in the garage.
Start in his garage.
Absolutely.
Oh boy, who
Jeff
made
Bezos.
Facebook. Like
Yes.
like
yes.
it's like, and so I wanted to show this part so that people know that it doesn't matter how small your seed is, how little where you start, it's what you believe it can do. And so, but anywho,
I'm glad you said that, though, that you didn't have any shame around it, and you showed people, because I think a common thing that I hear thrown around is like when people talk about success and their trajectory, people like to say, well, it's not about where you come from, it's where you're going. I really think it's both.
Yeah.
Because if you can embrace both of those ends of the spectrum, it makes you a little bit more of an evolved person. It makes you more compassionate, and it just makes you overall more balanced.
Right. Yeah.
So do you feel, and we're talking about balance, I feel like in our communities, we are obviously Black women.
Yes, ma'am.
Balance is a very hard thing for us.
Difficult.
Because we are the super women of
Amen.
the world.
For real, though.
Yeah.
We are.
And I think, I know both personally, anecdotally, and from watching the women in my community, a lot of times our health we put very, very last. We take care of the children, we take care of other people in the family, or if we have, a significant other, sometimes we put their needs before ours.
Right.
So as a woman in the wellness arena, in the wellness field, I guess you could say, do you feel more connected to women, or do you just feel like, well, whoever finds it, finds it? Is there a difference in your approach as far as like getting women to recognize they need to work out and take care of themselves?
Right. Well,
and if not, it's okay.
You're
like, come on, just get
no,
healthy.
I'm like yes and no, because because Bruce Box is so affirming.
Yes.
It speaks to the multitude, like it speaks to everyone. That's why I'm like kind of yes and no, because it's because literally it's based on like I am statements as well, like in the audio and like personal esteem and building up the human. And so that does initially draw more women. Yeah. So yes, to answer your question,
that may not be your intent, but you do see. No, it's fine.
To answer your question,
I've like knocked the microphones over. I think I had lipstick on one once. It's fine.
Yeah, but to answer your question, it is gonna automatically target women first. However, secondary to that is men who come along. But in wellness in general, you are generally, unless there's a dude specific program in wellness, a lot of the time all marketing is going to be targeted, or a majority will be targeted to women, because when the women do it, the men will come.
The men absolutely.
We don't really, not that the men are minor, I'm just saying that.
No, it's true. There's certain there's whole business models based around attracting, women first. So you mentioned COVID just a moment ago.
Yeah.
And, COVID, just straight up, COVID was devastating on so many levels for so many of us. And I think what happened is a lot of people really withdrew into themselves in a very healthy affirming way. And then
Right.
you had other people withdrew in a way where they were completely isolated.
Right.
And maybe some people just don't have support systems. And I know you said that your wellness journey is what got you through COVID. So do
Yeah.
you mind sharing what that experience was like for you, specifically in relation to like
I
fitness?
definitely don't mind. Yeah, it was crazy. It was bipolar. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like there was when I was up and I was lifting other people up. I was like, all right, we gotta do this. Let me Bruce box it out. Let's spray paint the wall. Record all the stuff. Make sure everyone's up. So I used to be like motivating people, like whatever audience was listening on social media, I was trying to be Captain Save America, right?
Yeah. And I saw some of that, and I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna sit here and eat these.
That's what I was
like,
Veronica. That was the goal because I could feel it. I could feel it, and I could feel the weight almost of the world. And so I'm over here. Buildings everywhere, like, you know, I was, so for me, and my faith is huge, so I was praying, like, just doing motivational, basically, conversations, speaking, talking about depression, making sure people don't die today, you know, whatever. And then it hit me, and I'm just like halfway through that thing, it hit me, and I'm like, all right, guys, blessed, I'm not Jesus. Y'all, somebody needs to find him, but I have to. And that's the other.
You had to take a step back a little bit.
Yeah, that's when the other portion, that's when the other side happened, because I'm giving, and I'm pouring, and I was not pouring back in myself. So even though in the wellness industry, I dropped. Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but it's the thing, it happens.
But we're human.
And I always want to be so transparent and say, yes, I myself dropped. Not only did I drop personally, like I even gained weight. And it's like, not this again, Lord. Like it caught up with me. I was like, I cannot anymore. I'm sorry, guys. So if you're looking for motivation from a page, you want to be inspired, I am tapped out.
Yeah.
I apologize. I have to pause, because if I don't, I'm not going to make it. And so I had to receive Bruce Box. It's crazy. I had to.
You made your own medicine.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I said, you know what? Because so many people and even organizations, which was a blessing, they joined the group online, the online group, and I saw them do amazing things. Like they started doing Bruce Box. One woman's like, she started her church. Then you have people that start their ministry, and then you have people who start their businesses, and they're like killing it, and it's great. Right. And then I have seen people who are losing weight. I mean, like I'm talking about like killing the game.
Really?
And then I'm like, and I'm cool with it. But then when I got hit, I'm like, okay,
right.
I think I need this. And that's actually where I am. It's like I feel empowered now. Like I've been taking my own stuff, and it works, girl. I mean, I'm just like, and this is not even a marketing thing. I literally was like, I'm gonna look in the mirror, and I'm going to tell myself I'm enough today. Like, I'm not going to tell someone else to say this. I'm going to do it for me. And I was like, I'm going to start working out now. It's like, and so now I feel like I'm reaping the benefits of Bruce Box.
No, but there's power in that. You know, I have a very good friend who works, well, it's not really a work, it's like an externship program that she's doing. And she works with women who have just come out of the penal system. They've been in prison for years. A lot of them have had drug problems. A lot of them have had just really difficult lives. And she is able to do what she does with those women because she went through everything they went through herself. And she's so open about it. And she has, like you were saying earlier, she has no shame. And people, you know, we tend to intellectualize things, but people are very wise from this place, from a gut-centered, intuitive place. And so people know when you're faking the funk, and they know when it's real. So the fact that you were able to work through that, and now you can say, okay, this really does work. I am a product of my own, like this, my system, my methodology works. So how did you did you just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm saying affirmations every day and I'm going to work out every day no matter how I feel? Was it a gradual thing, or was it just like you woke up and was just like, that's it?
I was just tired of being fat.
Okay.
No, seriously, like I had fat on my stomach, and I was like, I don't like this. Like as a woman, and I'm always super kind. I also deal with body dysmorphia, so it can be very, it is very an interesting situation, because it's almost something like it's never enough.
Right.
But
And that's interesting because I look at you and, you know, I'm strictly heterosexual, but I'm like, Veronica is fine. Like, what? But I'm glad that you're talking about this. No, she is. Veronica is fine, okay? But I'm talking to our producer over there. But I'm glad that you're saying this because being a woman, there's just so much pressure to be perfect. And there really is no such thing.
Yeah.
But even when we know it up here, it's still hard to
it is difficult.
be comfortable in this space.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear you just say that because I'm sure there's a woman out there who's just like, oh man, well, if she looks like that and she has these, you know, things that come up for her.
Yeah.
It's very real. It's part of.
No, it's a thing. It's a thing and it's okay. Like, but it's just like, and I don't know what to say about it, but to just practice saying that you're enough.
Yes.
And that your body, it is what it is, and you're gonna keep working. But for me, it's also like just to be important to appreciate it.
Yes.
As well, just figuring that balance out as well. But then also I'm like, so I've been like this and this is probably why I'm in the wellness industry, because I told you about the entrepreneur when I was little.
Right.
But I would literally be in the tub and I would pray because I had little poop head brothers. I love my bros, but they were some little poopsters.
So you're the only girl, so I'm sure it was,
They would pick on me, and I was like, so they would call me chunky, and I know that they were not trying to be like behind faces, but but I would literally like be in the restroom in the tub like praying my fat away. So yeah, like literally, and I was like, I just wish that this would go away, and I wasn't like large. I was just. I'm naturally thick.
I was just about to say, in our community, we call it thick. And it's funny because that has been such a topic of conversation because, you know, everyone is going to have a different idea of what thick is. But I'm glad that there is, I think, within the wellness space, there is an understanding. Like I was reading this, and you can talk more about this because this is your world, but you know, let's talk a little bit about the bias that exists within the wellness industry based on European ideals of what being fit is, what being beautiful is, the fact that like the BMI charts are not based upon our metrics.
Right.
So if you're a black woman and you're like 5'8" and you weigh 175. I'm just making up numbers because I don't even know what I weigh. But if you're like 5'8" and 175, you might go to a doctor and they tell you you need to lose weight. In our community, that's a healthy weight, you know, but those things were not based on our bodies. So when you have people in your space that you're coaching or that you're providing information, like, do you see a big difference in how women in different communities, or not women, we'll say people, because your program's for everyone, how they see themselves based on like cultural norms?
Yes, our black queens, us black queens. And that's why I'm actually sculpting my body the way I am, to have a big booty and big quads and big calves, small waist.
Sign me up, help me out.
Small waist. Because this is how we are generally in the African American community. This is how we are. And but anyways, to answer your question, when I'm training my clients, I have a lot of African American women that I train, majority of them, and it's about keeping our curves. And so when they're with me, there's an understanding that you don't have to, your curves are not against you. If you are at this BMI on the chart, then I'm looking at you and we're going to make sure that your body fat percentage is healthy. I want to make sure that you don't have a heart attack. I want to make sure that you don't have diabetes. So we want to make sure your blood sugar is healthy. But other than that, we're going to keep these curves, queen, and we're going to work it because that's what we are and that's what we do, and we're fine. And so it's also just encouraging us to say that we love our curves. However, don't let your curves kill you. And that's the second part of the conversation. Because a lot of us would be like, I'm thicker than the Snickers. I'm like, but do you have heart disease? Or are you prone to? Or are you or do you have like, is your blood sugar an issue? Or is your body weight going to be problematic in the future? Because if it is, like, we can still be thick, but we have to lose weight. And so that's the other, like, it's easy. It's like, not easy. It's a
double-edged sword.
Double-edged, just because we love our curves. And I love my curves too, but I can't have too many as well. It's like, I can't be so thick that my heart is
that you have stress on your heart, or
that my blood sugar is going to be a certain way. So it's also what is the happy medium, and what does that look like in our communities, and encouraging African American women, specifically Black women, encouraging us that we can have curves even when you are smaller, like even when your body is smaller. And for us, we may not weigh less because we tend to be more mesomorphic, or carry more like muscle in our bodies and be thicker. So you may not weigh less, which is fine. What I'm doing is called a recomp. A recomposition is normally where you are going to build muscle and your fat content on your body is going to be decreased. So I may stay at the same weight. I may even gain weight, but I will look different. It's called a recomp.
Right.
And so it's just knowing that this is a thing that we can do as well.
So, you know, I would love for you to clear something up, because I hear this a lot. I'm part of several like fitness groups, even though I'm not a fitness person
Yes, ma'am.
yet. I'm working on it. But I always hear people say a pound of fat weighs less than a pound of muscle. And that isn't really, it's kind of a misconception, because a pound is a pound. So it weighs the same, but how it manifests and is distributed through your body is different.
Totally.
So in that line, do you find yourself having to do a lot of education as far as like the scientific part? Like, do your clients respond to that? Or is it more like, let's just hit these goals and let's do these things? Or do you really have to explain certain things like that too?
Good question. I have found that explanation works so well.
Yeah.
The science, like, and I wanted to look at the camera.
Because that's what your degree is
case-
in.
I
So
have-
I'm sure you feel compelled to
Yes.
like share these things with people.
I have a degree in exercise science. I do. So, but it does make a difference. But I haven't always been an explainer. Like, I know that I've grown in just the ability to communicate with people, but I haven't always understood the importance of explaining. Like a long time ago, I used to be like, let's
do it, get it done.
And it's like, no, like
Yeah.
there has to be a knowledge, educational understanding for a lot of people as to why this is happening the way it's happening,
Right.
and cause and effect. And can you tell me about, like, even when it comes to muscle, like the fact that muscle is almost like, it almost has a brain in it, like
Well,
'cause
that's
you
where the term muscle memory comes from.
and then you have neuromuscular responses. So like, and then with fat cells, and this is what I learned, when I started to bodybuild, the first show that I did, which wasn't
I want
the
to talk
best.
to you about that too, but
I didn't even do great on that show. So I'm not coming up here like I'm like the bee's knees at this point. Okay. I have to earn my stripes in that
Right.
industry, which is what I'm trying to do. And there's a division called wellness. And so I like to stay humble in whatever area I'm in, even though, like, you know, my brand does XYZ. In bodybuilding, I'm very much entry level, you know, my goal is to definitely achieve the highest honor in that industry.
And what is that called? Because I don't know. It's not my world. What is that highest
honor is to be Miss Olympia.
Okay.
And that's to get a big medal.
Is that what Monica Brandt is known for? Was she Miss Olympia?
Monica, who's that?
Monica Brandt. She's like a legendary bodybuilder, fitness
I haven't heard of her
competitor.
before.
But okay, she's been around a long time.
Okay, she might have been, but that's hard to do. And there's some women who have done that, and I take my hats off to them. And that takes so for me, I'm like, that's probably like a 3-year like journey.
Yeah.
Because you have to build so much muscle. But I'm not doing it to be swole, just so everybody knows. There is a division called wellness in bodybuilding that's very even conducive to the African American community as well, because we naturally have a bigger butt, nice quads, nice hamstrings and calves, and a small waist. And so that's the one I'm doing.
Okay.
So I don't know why I said that, but yes. Yeah, that's it.
So can you explain, because, you know, for you, this is your world. So I hear the term wellness, and because of my view on things. Like when I think of wellness, I think of it like in a holistic sense, but I know you're not on the stage with like essential oils. So explain the difference between wellness in the fitness world and then the other divisions. Like, because most
like
people would just,
for bodybuilding specifically?
yeah, for bodybuilding specifically, when you say wellness, I know it's not like yoga and candles and it's a very specific thing. Okay. So explain for people watching what the differences are in case someone might be interested and doesn't know.
Yes, good question. So they have standards that they set when they're judging people on stage, and you have the NPC, and then you have ISBB. Anywho, so NPC is one I can currently remember right now. Okay. So let me go with that one.
Oh, the IFBB, I think, is the other.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So those are the major ones, and that's how you can become Mr. and Mr. Olympia, Mr. and Mrs. in all the different categories. So for women, they have bikini, which is you have a natural like smaller build for bikini.
Okay.
But there's a pronounced like glute and hamstring and quad for that one, and a smaller waist, and your upper body doesn't have to be so
defined and cut. Like,
and then you have figure, and with figure in the women's category, they focus more on the X frame, but you have like more of a lat spread here. A lat's your latissimus dorsi, that's your back, sorry. So that's figure. And then wellness is the one that I think is the bomb.com. Not that everybody's not, I'm just saying. So wellness, you got this small itty bitty waist, girl, and then you got to have this big old butt.
Got it. So you're like, this is my jam. This is made for me. Got you. Okay.
I just like, no, you can have a big butt, you can have nice big quads, you can have hamstrings, and you can have calves, and a small waist. It's like it's almost like a trophy kind of body, I think.
So, anyway. But what I'm hearing though, what's nice is because fitness is such a very specific world, but even within that, it makes room for different body different types frames, and different, and so that's nice to hear.
And so this is not like, this realm is, I would not say fitness, this realm is like just particularly like straight up bodybuilding. And this category is, so this sport, it is a sport, and it's different than like fitness. So in the fitness realm, so
you're giving me an education, because I hear fitness and I put it all under one umbrella, but that's two different,
totally different things. And then there's sometimes frustration because when I do my bodybuilding workouts, it's like 4 days a week, and I do pretty long workout sessions. But they look different than what I'm going to do when I need to get a workout in for Bruce Box, or I'm just doing my daily life, trying to burn my daily calories and reach I did my workout today. So those are totally different things. So if someone is just wanting to like lose weight, it's the fitness and the wellness industry. It would not be the bodybuilding industry unless they want to bodybuild. Can you do a bodybuilding workout? Yeah, you surely can. And will you lose weight? Absolutely. I'm just saying the difference between the sport and then someone who's just wanting to get healthy and look ripped, which you can take the principles of bodybuilding and
incorporate them into. That makes sense.
That's what a lot of people do anyways. They take principles from bodybuilding and they literally take those programs and they apply it to the real world, because that is where everyone really is. Like, bodybuilding is a small majority of people.
Very small.
And then you have a large world out here who we just need to provide wellness programming for people in the large world. And so with Bruce Box, that business model and that service model is to provide, wellness programming for the large majority. That's not for bodybuilders. It's just for everyday people like myself, and you, who just want to do like a fitness program that's going to work for them. But the wellness component of that is the affirmations, and there's a faith-based component as well, and then there's the social media group as well, and then the other wellness components are, in the future having the option to work with a trainer. So
So I have a question for you, because you just said something and a little light bulb went off, because you talked about faith-based or a faith-based component of. So I know that your faith is very important to you. I've heard you talk about it here and there.
Yeah.
And for some people of different faiths, they may feel like, I'm not sure if I can do that. What is your take on different people of different denominations and walks of life doing your program, do you feel like there's any conflict there? Do you think, go ahead.
No, go
I'll
ahead,
let
go
you.
ahead.
Well, I was just going to like keep asking the same question probably and rephrasing it.
Yeah,
So,
no, absolutely not. The goal is to welcome everyone, because we're redoing it. So one thing I'm gonna do is probably put the prayer, like figure out where to put the prayer, because I have seen what I don't want to force my faith on other people. Even in the business model, I want it to be an option. So if someone wants to listen to the prayer, they can press play and they can hear the prayer, because they may be having a really bad day and they just need to be prayed for. And there it is. But I also don't want to tie, people's back as well. But I want people to know that it's faith-based.
that's an option. Yeah.
I also want people to know that it's faith-based. Like Bruce Box, even the company and the organization has Christian principles in it, so that they're not caught off guard. So no one has to be, you don't have to be a Christian.
They're making an informed choice.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to be a Christian to do it. We're not going to make you do things. Like right now in our social spectrum, you see so much of almost forcing people to take on beliefs that they don't believe in. And so that's not my goal with Bruce Box. It's literally saying that, these are our foundational building principles. We don't discriminate, and I'm not gonna make you do it. As a matter of fact, I would prefer if you are not in this faith base, for you to do the program, because it's designed for everybody.
Right. So it's like a toolbox, and you use the tools that work best for you in your life, and you're giving them all the tools to select. Yeah,
and I want to serve the world. That's the goal. Yeah, it's some really dope stuff. So I would love to serve it up. And have other people serve it up as well. So not myself, but others. But I would love to have others serve it up, because I've realized that if it's just me, it won't do the vision.
It doesn't have the same impact.
And it's not the vision.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I'm different.
Yeah.
I don't need my face to be out there on Bruce Box anymore. Well, you know what I need? I need trainers in different communities certified as Bruce Box trainers. I need people certified to be online coaches. And I want them to be affecting their communities. That's my vision.
Yeah.
I like that
you said, I'm different. And I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to tie this all in. But I like that you said, I'm different. And you said it very boldly. And then you also said, I don't need my face to be out there. We live in such a this is media, what we're doing right now, but we live in such a hyper media focused world, social media in particular. How do you find it difficult to navigate that? Because when you are in this particular industry, you have to produce some kind of content pretty regularly, because people have short attention spans. So how do you balance, you have to be in the camera, you have to let people know for now, I'm here. How do you navigate that?
It's hard. I decide that I'm not doing it today.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Just like
That's
that.
my decision.
Okay.
I don't care who's posting what. Veronica is not today.
Right.
It's not the competition. It's, am I healthy today? Did I accomplish the goals that are on my to-do list? If my body being out on network is not the goal for today, then I won't put body out.
Oh, I love that.
because I'm like, my goals have changed. I want people certified.
Yeah.
I want the group classes to be happening.
Yeah.
Like I want to be well financially. I want to be healthy. I want to be prepared for so many other things. It's just it's good to know, it's good to have your focus and know what you want to do, and and sometimes of course it's going to change, but for me, I'm just so concrete, and I'm just that's not what I'm doing today. Yeah. I'm working on my body right now, and I literally will do the Instagram stories, and of course I have to show my body. Right. And that's a whole nother conversation, because
let's have it.
When I show my body, when I show my body, people be tripping, and I'm like, you understand. Y'all get that I'm in the wellness industry, and you're going to see my body. I don't want you. Sir, and ma'am.
I do want to discuss this, because let's just be real.
It's so hard.
To be a woman, even if you show up as a woman in
anywhere, you're hypersexualized. I'm like, look, if you see even my boobs, if you see my stomach, if you see my behind, it doesn't mean I want to smash you today. stop hypersexualizing me. Like, look with your eyeballs, and it's a body.
Right.
Like, if I was to see a dude's body, I'm not gonna be like, if I saw his whole male part, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm about to smash today. Like,
Right.
I'm not. I mean,
But how do you?
I'm gonna control my.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it's, and then being a Christian, and it's so like, so I've even struggled with my faith. It's just so like, I'm just like, God, this
Because
is,
do you sometimes feel like, ooh, I shouldn't be showing this because it's not modest? Because that is something, you know, I was raised in a very conservative household. And, you know, I've always been like this. I don't really have curves now. I have a little bit. But I remember my mother, hush. I remember my mother when I was very young planting certain ideas in my head, and she was doing it out of like a loving, protective way because you know, when you have daughters, you want to protect them, and she would say, don't wear that because your cleavage is showing. And I remember thinking, like, I don't even have cleavage. Like, what is she talking about? But even now as an adult, you know, sometimes I'll wear something and I'm like, oh wait, I should. But the fact that we feel that way,
it's so interesting. I'm just like, and I had to grow up. I just had to grow up, and I've cried. So how I am during this conversation is a result of not wanting to cry anymore. Like, I've cried. I've cussed at people, and it's just
and then you just get tired
nowhere.
of it.
And I'm like, okay, you're not a victim. Put up your little britches and get it together. What do you hold true? What are your values? Are you perfect? No, but just know who you are and keep it moving. Like, you will never be successful, Veronica, if people's opinions are always that important to you. And that's just what it is.
And you know, it's interesting you said that because it can go both ways. I forgot who said this, some author, but they said, be sure that you don't get too caught up in people's criticism or the praise.
Yeah,
and that's tricky because getting praise feels good, but you can get so caught up in that as well that you kind of lose sight of what you're supposed to be doing, because then you're living for that positive feedback that can take you off track.
That's happened to me before. Like, even, and I recently actually, because I used to run track a long time ago, and the story behind it is I was at nationals. I was pretty good. So it was the Junior Olympics when I was 8th grade summer, and we had qualified in 3 events, but my personal event was the only one that made it to the finals at the Junior Olympics. So this is and I'm talking about losing focus. So I have anxiety. So my big brother was helping me. I was like, bro, I can't run today. Look everyone's in the stadium. He's like, Veronica, pull it together. I'm like, I want to do it. I just want to go back home. Like, it's crazy because I'm the fastest.
But brothers don't let you make it. With, like, I have play brothers, and they get on your behind. Like,
But I'm the fastest girl on the track, so everybody's afraid of me. But I've always had this thing where I'm like, anyway. So, but this is how I messed up. I looked up at all the people in the stadium, and I cared. And I did not run my race, and I failed.
You were trying to run for them.
But I was distracted, and then now I tell myself, because I'll look up in social media, I'm like, you know, pay attention to who's looking, who's watching, and I literally had to tell myself today, Veronica, I was like, if you are going to be successful, you can't keep looking up to see who's watching. You have to
run your race.
Ahead. And do your thing. And if you look up, I mean, you're not going to be perfect, but like, just trying to do that as much. You have to focus on what you're doing. Like, focus is so important. And so that's it.
You one thing that I noticed when I decided I wanted to invite you on, because you know, I sent you a message through Facebook, I saw, and this is like, I'm just making a hard left, I'm going off the rails, but I wanted to ask you about this because it said somewhere in your bio or somewhere up there that you were from Germany or had spent time in Germany. Is your family military, or did you spend any time in the military? Okay.
Good question. So my father was military, and my mom bear was actual military.
Okay.
So they met each other when they were both in basic training, but we were born in Germany. So that is why it says from Germany.
Okay.
We were born on Landstuhl in Germany.
Okay. And do you speak any of the language?
Absolutely
Not. I knew you had a little twinkle in your eye. I'm like, she's about to add not to that. Well, I mean, it's, you know, all languages, like if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
I tried.
Yeah.
I think I got as far as thry.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, I'm done.
Thry, and that was it. 1, 2, and 3. And I was like,
I'm done.
It's actually a really hard language to learn.
Yeah.
So
it's very guttural.
It is.
So is that, do you see, and I'm kind of tying this in, do you see your program like in the future, like being in Germany, being in, what are your long-term goals? Like, do you want to see it in other countries? Is it
global?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You're going to do it. I feel it. Yeah.
That's what I see. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So your brothers, so you have two, I did not know you were a triplet until today. So that's something new. And you have an older brother.
I have 2 older brothers.
So there's 5 of you total. Wow. Okay. And you're the only girl. So do you think that also kind of pushed you in the direction that because boys are very competitive. I mean, I have a lot of boy cousins, and that experience being with them is so different than with my girl cousins.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of gave you an extra little push, just being around all that testosterone?
Yeah, I was such a tomboy. Yeah, I even ran around the house with my shirt off.
Yeah.
Until I couldn't anymore. My mom was like, Veronica.
She was like, you need a training bra, baby.
I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm not the same anymore. So, but yeah, those little guys. Yeah. So I have a big bro named Aaron, my big brother, Big Bro, and then I have my other big bro named Kenyon, and then my 2 triplets are John and Jonathan.
So what's it like growing? So, you know, my mother is a twin. She has a fraternal twin, and her twin brother has a set of twins. So when I look at my cousins and see how they like interacted with one another growing up, did you have that same experience where you felt like you all could just kind of like read each other's minds and finish each other's sentences? Because it's like you have built-in best friends.
Yeah.
What was that like? Triplets is, I mean, that's vastly different from twins. There's 3 of you.
It was amazing. I did not come into the world alone.
Oh.
And that's amazing. So it actually makes me sad to think about the exit, because it won't be as great as the entrance.
Right.
Like, very few people can say they came into the earth with somebody by their side. But I literally was pulled from the C-section with 2 really amazing dudes.
Yeah.
You know, so those little guys, they're awesome.
Yeah.
We're so if something's wrong, we kind of know. And
it's like an intuitive thing.
Yeah. My brothers are brothers. I won't get so mad at dudes in general now. I've gotten better, actually. I used to like grill. I used to grill guys. But now when guys be guying, when dudes be duding, I'm just like, you know what? I have brothers.
I already peeped game.
I'm gonna let you. I don't even peep it sometimes. No, I don't. I'm not gonna sit here like that.
Right.
But when they be duding, I'm just like, you are duding right now, and I'm gonna just say okay. Because it is what it is, and I'm just gonna keep it.
But it does give you, I mean, it gives you a very informed perspective.
Yeah.
Because like my play brothers and my cousins, like the conversations they have are so different from what we have as, you know, as women.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to have that in your life because it just makes you more informed. And when you have like interpersonal relationships or when you get married, it just gives you a unique perspective. Because we really, what's that book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
Yeah.
I don't want to ever draw a wedge and say, oh, we're that, but we are very different.
Very. And guys are like,
in a very elemental.
Guys are like, I'm sorry, you're
it's
back
not a negative. Our producer is sighing a deep, heavy spiritual sigh from way down in his shondo. But it's true. But I think what happens, and you can probably speak to this too, because I'm sure you see it in the wellness universe. But there's like there's competition that's healthy.
Yeah.
And where iron sharpens iron. But what I have seen lately, and it's
Negative.
everywhere. It's like a weird, unhealthy competition and under appreciation of men and women and our specific gifts.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in fitness groups.
Yeah.
I've seen it in religious settings.
Yeah,
I've seen it, and
awful.
it's everywhere.
It's toxic. It started from the top. I hate to say it, but we had a horrible situation that happened before this situation, which is, I can't say it's much better.
We all know what it is.
But that dude, dude was so toxic.
Right. Yeah.
That we were already toxic as humans, but to have a toxic head of country,
a figurehead, yeah, absolutely.
Of country, perpetuate. The man is even on trial, or he's not, but the trial is going on. Not to be political, but to have that toxic governmental head be the example of not only America, but because we are now still the global powerhouse, though that's getting.
It's changing, yeah.
We're
absolutely.
still it. We're still currently it. We were maybe holding on by a thread, but we're it. We're
by an eyelash.
I'm sure an eyelash. Yeah. An imaginary one.
Yeah.
That's a whole another conversation.
No, I'm with you.
We'll talk about Mother Africa, because people are sleeping on Africa, and that's another.
Well, those of us who know better don't.
Amazing place.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah.
But to have such a toxic figurehead be given authority, or not authority, but just allowed to operate the way that I've seen that type of leadership, and it's a leadership style. I've seen it trickle down to industries across the board, and so that's what, in my opinion, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the kind of the residue of that, and it's
the
like
blowback almost.
We need to detoxify ourselves, that's why I was like, man, can I get back on it with Bruce Box to send out these positive? Even in myself, I was doing it, and I'm like, no, that's why I had to step back and get healthy.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm not about to look at somebody as my competition. Like, you being well is me being well. Because even when it comes to people in poverty, in my opinion, is not necessary. Everyone doesn't have to be broke for our nation to be successful. Like, there's no need for people not to have food here. We have enough.
It comes from greed.
We have enough abundance.
Absolutely.
And even if you are supplying people with homes, housing, you can still make money here. It's America. Like,
you know what's interesting? So I don't do this anymore because I absolutely hate driving. But when I used to work like a crazy woman, I spent so much time driving.
Yeah.
And just driving across Texas, like, say I'm going from here to Dallas. And I remember several times looking out the window and saying, there's no shortage of anything. There's no shortage of land.
Right.
There's not truly a shortage of water, depending on how you contextualize that.
Yeah.
But there's room. Like, just in the state of Texas alone, there's room for people to have homes.
Right.
But what we've been kind of told, and what we've started to believe, is that we all have to huddle together in these little epicenters, and we have to allow someone to give us food, allow someone to give us electricity, allow someone to give us water. And that mindset is what keeps us from wellness. So I like that you've talked about these different aspects of wellness, because I really do believe that is shifting, and people are starting to understand it's also about community.
Right.
It's also about looking out for people other than yourself.
Yes,
so when you said, when you're well, I'm well, I felt that, because I think that's what I don't want to say we've lost it, but if we don't do some real work to get it back, we're going to lose it.
America needs a detox. I mean, even from our racism. Even from...
How much time do we have, Mr. Producer?
Oh, we got to wrap it up. But, like, even from the racism.
Absolutely.
You know what I believe? We are stagnant, and we will lose our number one ranking when they don't acknowledge that they did slavery. Anglo-Saxons, let me be specific. Anglo-Saxons, the ancestors of the Anglo-Saxons, whoever they were, they did what they did, and it was bad. Stop trying to erase history. America is going down because you want to stop the acknowledgement of racism.
Right.
You want to wipe it off the history books, and you're afraid that when African Americans or minorities or people of color become increase in your nation, that it's going to take away your power. And I'm like, you're not, like, people, I feel like certain people in America are not understanding that the global citizen is not white. The global
majority are people that are melanated. Absolutely.
And has always been.
Yeah.
And it's this fear. It's so from generation to generation, centuries, it's always been this fear of people of color like taking advantage of you, and so then you have hyperaggression in people who are not as melanated.
But you know what's funny?
And so
I don't think that the fear is actually that we're going to take over. I think the fear comes from knowledge of one's own transgressions and one's own history. Because like when you have a conscience, no matter how you rationalize it, people always know when they're doing wrong. You always know, no matter how much you try to justify it. And over the years, over the centuries, even if someone has not done wrong themselves, if their ancestors did certain things, there's still an energy attached to that. There's still laws that we have that come from those. There's still institutions. There's banks. There's schools. I remember the last time.
There's land that's been lended down. That made people wealthy.
Yeah, that was taken from. Oh yeah, it goes so deep, so deep, and because of the depth of all of this is why we need. I might even have you come back another day because what I was thinking. I haven't run this by our producer yet, so Gylan, you have to tell me if this is possible. But we have a meeting we need to have. But I would also like to do maybe in the future like a roundtable consortium type of thing with solutions. Because the whole reason I started this particular show with Gylan's push was because we have so much to offer. We have such unique experience. We have so much diversity within our communities. And there's never just one solution to any problem. There's always multiple. So I look at you and I see the way you approach things. And then, someone else might have a different approach and they may be different. It doesn't mean that one is right or wrong or better. It's going to take all of us.
It is.
And that's what we have to remember.
It is. I literally today, that was my thought. I was like, man, it's like, there is enough room at the table for us all. If you would stop trying to swipe people off the table, guys. Like we would
and there's multiple tables. That's the thing. I always hear people talk about, bring this to the table and pull up a chair to the table. It's like there's more than one.
And we make our own tables.
Yes.
And we build our own tables.
Yes.
And we drive economy. And I do want to. So there's this one thing I was thinking about today. It's I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm gonna.
You can say whatever.
I saw that President Biden was trying to put a bill out. This may not or may not. I was on Instagram, so it could not be the right information.
Okay.
For prisons to increase because I think it was policing and prisons, so that to increase the police, and increase prison. And I'm like, you know what? What do we do at this point as African Americans or as minorities? Because unfortunately, if that does happen, there's a higher likelihood that this population could be targeted. And I'm like,
will be.
So do we should just stop being the victim and stop acting like what we see. We have to take not like an assessment of, okay, well, if this is going to happen, how about we just stop talking at the conversation and build solutions to say, well, if this is going to happen, then we're going to make sure that none of our children, or if they're in fatherless homes, we'll build social programs for every in every community. We'll make sure that there's social programs that feed our children, that clothe our children, and that provide father figures and mother figures for our children. And that prevents them from going to places that are built for them. So if it's a school to prison pipeline and we have social programs that kill that pipeline, you know what these fools are going to do? They're going to spend money for no reason. And at the end of the day, they're going to be tired of doing that. So there's ways that you can say, you can look at the board and say, okay, I see that you're trying to set something up, but we don't have to go there.
Right.
We can create roadblocks. What can we create to make sure that child doesn't go there?
Yeah,
we can create social programming to make sure that the child does not necessarily have to have a mother or father, but we can create communities. That community
so that their needs are being met emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, wellness,
and we can create financial programming, financial education programming, and things of that nature. We can educate people on laws. I mean, so there's ways to where it's like it's no longer crying about the situation. Don't cry about the straw that they're trying to put you in. Just make something where you don't have to go in that pipe.
Right.
Like,
right.
just build a fence, just build a wall. And
Yeah.
we don't like, and so I was just like, we don't have to do that. It's like, it doesn't matter what they build. We don't got to walk in it.
And it's hard though,
So
because
it's
like, well, and from like, it's one of those things that in theory, it's so clear. It's so evident.
Yeah.
I think, and I know what people struggle with is the practical everyday application.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we're all at different points in our journey where what's effective to one person, another person may never entertain. Guylan can tell you, a long time ago when Guylan and I first met, I was in the streets. Marches, organizing, protesting, die-ins, walking, all of that. And there's a place for that. But I had to realize that for myself, there was another way that I could get things done. And some of it was very quiet. Some of it was not so quiet. I think it takes all levels of, but at the end of the day, whatever it is, it has to be action-based. Because we can theorize, we can intellectualize things, but nothing actually happens until we say, okay, I'm going to get up out of this chair, out of this home, and I'm going to do something.
Yeah.
And to me, and that's why I was so excited to have you here, is because it still all ties back to wellness of mind.
Yes.
And because you can't do anything if you're not of sound body and mind.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. What is your take on like therapy? Because I know that you're very spiritual, and I know a lot of your strength comes from your relationship with God.
Yeah.
How do you, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to,
go ahead,
but
go
I
ahead.
think that's something for our communities as well that we could really benefit from, and that's part of wellness.
Yeah.
But so many of us are still kind of digging our feet in for different reasons. What is your take on that?
I am the digger feet in.
I
want to go to therapy. I have yet to do that. I think it's important. I think it's valuable. So my mom was like, how come you haven't gone yet? And I'm like, I don't have time. But that's an excuse, right? So, but I don't get paid for what I'm about to plug. I just wanted to put this out there.
Right.
I wish I was partnered with this organization.
Right.
But I just love what I've seen from them. It's called BetterHelp.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so they
I've
basically
seen your ads.
That's
Yeah.
what I want to use because it's so cost effective. It's basically like, a couch that comes to you via the app.
Right.
And so you can be plugged in with any therapist. You just answer their, and I should be getting paid for this conversation today, but I'm really
it's okay. You will
not.
one day. You will
I
one
am
day.
not
We'll play
being
this
paid
back,
for this.
and they'll cut you a check, and you'll be like, "Oh, that was cute. Remember when I did that? You pay me."
Yeah, but so Better Health is actually what I want to use, because when you're a business entrepreneur and just a human being, whether you're an entrepreneur, a mother, a father, building a business, whatever anyone's doing, you get busy. And so there's different ways to see a therapist, because even just like I'm on this couch with you right now, a lot of people may not have, and I'm one of these people that doesn't always have this privilege, but I have the privilege of looking at my phone and having a video chat. And so that's what I want to do, because they create something that I can actually do, and that's cost effective.
I am so glad that you're so open about this, because I find that like things are shifting. More and more people are talking about therapy openly, and it's not so stigmatized like it used to be.
Yeah.
So to hear someone like you that has already done really amazing things, who has awareness of the world, awareness of herself as a person, you motivate other people, but you're not above saying like, yeah, that's something that I would like to do.
Yeah.
Thank you for just being open and not shutting that down.
Oh no, I'm not perfect.
Because there's still a little bit of stigma associated with it. And I just think that's part of the wellness conversation too, because if you're like, not you, but if a person is like in the prime of their physical state, but maybe mentally they're struggling, it's not balanced.
Yeah, it's not.
Or vice versa.
Yeah,
if you're mentally, but you're not taking care of your body or in your mind, it definitely creates an imbalance. So it's good for people to know that someone who looks like you, who's an entrepreneur, who has these successes, still knows that, you know what, maybe this is something I could improve in.
Yeah, because I do get, one thing is I am not always angry, but when I do get angry, I get angry.
Now I know that you're a Christian. Do you subscribe to astrology at all?
You know,
or is it kind of like, 'cause some do
I
and some don't?
subscribe, but
Okay, gotcha.
I don't
Okay.
mind like having a conversation about it.
Okay. Because I was just going to say, what's your sign?
No, you can say, you can ask me. I'm
Okay.
an Aquarius.
Oh, my baby is, well, he's not a baby. He's 6'4",
So
and he's 17. But my son is,
February 2nd is Aquarius, right?
was that okay. So we just got the clear our throat. We have 5 minutes. And one of my studio mates, Amzai, just walked in. Hello, Amzai. Amzai has an amazing podcast where they like play all kinds of like cool games and stuff. So yeah, tell me the name of your podcast again, Amzai.
The San Pluto Show.
Thank you, because I knew it, but the San Pluto Show. So y'all,
That's cool.
Yeah, so y'all tune into that. But I always, whenever I get the notice that we have 5 minutes, I end up talking for another 15.
Yeah.
So I'll just turn it over to you, and I will ask you, is there anything that you would just like to say in conclusion that you feel really strongly about that you'd like to share with the people that are watching today?
Oh, well, so I wanted to just pause. So because, I want to say that when it comes to changing the world, that's all. That's it. That I've also found that I think the change is within me. And I want to reiterate that I'm not perfect, and there's a lot of stuff that I have to work on. So what you see is what you see here, but people don't see me at home. Like, they don't see me when I'm crying.
Right.
Or when I have to deal with adversity, or like getting over, people not thinking that I'm enough and having to tell myself I'm enough. Or, or when I'm over here just busting my behind late nights doing things to build myself and my business in a positive light. I just want to encourage those who are watching that, what me and Kirsten were talking about was, at the end of the conversation were the societal issues, that we see, but we are all the solution to that. And if we all would wake up and believe that, then we will change this America, and we will change the world. And so there's so much power in the ones who are here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for saying yes. Y'all, she is a very busy woman, so this was a treat. And just remind everyone again where they can find you and when you're relaunching and how they can reach out to you.
Yes. So you can find Bruce Box at www.mybrucebox.com. We are launching on September 1st. All the subscription programs will be available for you. If you are in San Antonio, you will be privy to some in-person activities, but for those who are not in city for now, the online platform will have access to people at any portion in Texas, in the United States, and in the world. But for those who want to do things in person, it will just be San Antonio based for this quarter. But remember, now I want to tell you that Bruce boxes out, and that just means that you're enough. Even for you, just remember that you're enough. Remember that you're a queen, that you're powerful, and that you're strong. And we
love our kings too, by the way. Let's not forget the kings. We love y'all.
I just talking to Kristen, and that you're a king, like, dude. So, I really love to esteem dudes as well. Like, y'all are kings. You are enough. You are powerful. Nothing's impossible for you. We need you to believe in yourself.
Amen.
And we need you to lead. And we need you to lead because as a Black woman, I need you to lead. Like, even though I'm powerful and Black women are strong, we need a strong Black man to lead. And it doesn't mean if you're timid and you're not vocally, like, you don't feel like a vocal leader, but leadership looks different. So Let me just rephrase it to just believe in your masculinity, because I think that is what it is. And for
that's a whole other show.
As women, to believe in our femininity, and it does some amazing things.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You are beautiful inside and out, and I feel like it's palpable, your excitement about everything you have coming up, your joy, and, I can tell when people are faking the funk, and you are so real. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for being open, and we'll just, watch you to see how you continue to blossom and grow and all that good stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,